It's time for our special guest, our monthly guest, Stan Deyo. We're going to talk about the weather, the crazy weather. Is Mount St. Helens about to erupt again? And what is going on in Israel? Is Israel about to start a war in Hezbollah and take care of them as well? The world is crazy, and we need to hear from what Stan has to say. Let's go. All right, each and every week we have the Kingdom Intelligence Report here on The Big Picture. And if you have not already done it, smash that like button. Smash it, smash it, smash it. If you're watching on Rumble, give us some love, and on X as well. And each and every Thursday night is our Kingdom Intelligence Report, where we have different guests each and every week to interpret and give us wisdom on what is going on. And tonight is Stan Deyo. Let us welcome none other than Stan Deyo. The crowd always loves you.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, dear.
Well, it's good to see you.
You know, all this AI stuff, artificial intelligence, is making us wonder when we're going to see real videos of real people and real data. It's a worry.
It is. And nowadays, like somebody sent me a video the other day that was 100% AI generated, and I looked at it, and I promise you, I watched it over and over again. I could not tell that it wasn't real. So, but I want you to know, Stan, I'm real. This is not the AI version.
I was just going to ask.
Are you real?
Well, I'm not sure.
Oh, there's nobody realer than Stan Deyo. So we know you are a one of a kind, sir. And we appreciate your time each and every month here on the Kingdom Intelligence Report. And at the end of the program, we'll show you how you can get in touch with Stan and how you can connect more and get a copy of his books and things like that. He's got so much going on that he's always been involved in. But tonight, I want to begin with, before we get into the weather and before we get into Mount St. Helens, and maybe we talk about a little bit on AI, Elon Musk, and some things, just pick your brain on it. I know you're a student of Israel. You're a student of end-time prophecy, and you are really, you got your finger on the pulse of what is happening in the Middle East. And I just want to simply put this website up here, a couple of articles. I'm going to read the headlines, a couple of things from the article, and then get your input on it. Hezbollah chief says that they have 100,000 terrorists ready to attack Israel and threaten Cyprus. He goes on to say the head of the Shiite Lebanese terrorist organization Hezbollah threatened to expand his war against Israel in a speech on Wednesday, boasting that he allegedly had 100,000 terrorists at his disposal, and suggesting war with Cyprus may also be imminent. And then, of course, Hal Turner says that the IDF chief informs the political leadership that they are ready for war with Hezbollah. So we see, Stan, the tide is turning there in Israel, where it has been focused on Gaza, it's been focused on Hamas, and it sort of looks like that they're getting close to finishing Hamas and now turning their attention to Hezbollah. What is your opinion on, do you think it really will escalate northern and that Israel will cross the border into Lebanon? And then do you think this will escalate into a full-scale Middle Eastern war with Iran and other neighboring countries?
Loaded questions. Well, look, there are things happening in the Israeli cabinet. Netanyahu has got to find a replacement for Gantz, his defense minister, who left. They had different ideas about how to handle the situation in Gaza. Now, Netanyahu wants to go in there and clean house and end it in Gaza, but he's going to have that same mentality toward Lebanon. And this is no secret in the Middle East. So what's going to happen is either the Arab nations are going to come together and make a peace treaty with Israel before, stuff happens, like a nuclear attack on Damascus by Israel, or vice versa, an attack on Israel from the Iranian forces there in Damascus. It is heating up, and it's got to get to a point where the nations of the Middle East, United States, China, and Russia all say, okay, look, let's put a halt to this. Let's have a peace treaty or agreement of some sort to stop Israel from using its I think it's about 80 nuclear warheads against its enemies in the Middle East. there has to be something that really precipitates this, and we know that Israel has hit a number of nuclear weapons development sites in um, Syria, and not only in Damascus but other places, trying to stop the Iranians from being able to produce nuclear weapons and hit them without warning. Now, Israel has hypersonic missiles. They can deliver at 15 times the speed of sound and destroy their targets. Um, and we know from publications going back 10, 12 years that Israel has at least 80 nuclear weapons and delivery systems. And there are some estimates that say as high as 200. So, I can't blame them, because everybody in the Middle East around them is saying, we want you gone.
Right.
And, Saudi Arabia, they until recently were at odds with Iran, and now they're having somewhat of an agreement party about their religious differences. So, and the plan that Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, has put out there with Mohammed bin Salman calls for a cessation of war, between Israel and the Gazans, even though it's the terrorists they're really against. Now, we're going to see this. They're already stacking up money in the billions to help rebuild Gaza. That means that there will be a stop, temporarily to the war between Israel and Hamas inside Gaza and in the West Bank, now into Lebanon. I think the situation in the Middle East is pregnant to erupt into conflict. There's just so many signs. I'm afraid that prophecy is going to be fulfilled right before our eyes soon.
Yeah. What do you think about, because you're really, really a student of Saudi Arabia, and just this past week, they officially made the determination they were moving away from the petrodollar. They were moving towards the BRICS currency, I believe, but away from the petrodollar, which has been the anchor of American economy in the Middle East. It just seems like you just said, it's pregnant. It's a powder keg. Just seems like everything is setting up, and then you bring in the Kushner angle, and I wonder, was he a part of that? How did he let that happen with his close negotiations with Saudi Arabia for them to move away with the petrodollar? Is that a part of the whole, is this
Sure.
all prophecy? Yeah.
It is. And Kushner and Mohammed bin Salman, the princelings, as the press call them, want a world government. And between Kushner and MBS, they have a real strong financial foothold in a global economic system, a variant of the blockchain type exchanges. There are a number of banks on the verge, world banks, of collapsing. And the U.S. dollar is on the verge of collapsing. Whatever the word is. And this is affecting commerce in the United States. Well, obviously, we can't defend Israel worth a darn now, because our military's been depleted, our resources are depleted as far as what Israel needs, and Biden and Blinken, no matter what they say, aren't helping Israel to restock, to defend with Iron Dome. They're backing Israel into a corner. And the idea is to either take Israel out or to force Israel to take a defensive move that will create a global conflict. And that global conflict will then call for a solution by some leader, some group that with no track record. And this is where I think that UFO business, the fallen ones and the flying saucers, is going to sail in to help us.
Yep.
But it's got to get the attention of the entire populace of this planet. And the way you do that is you hit the lifeblood of the planet, which is money, oil. And when people can't feed their families, then they listen, they look for an answer very judiciously. And it'll be almost like it was in Nazi or pre-Nazi Germany. The people needed someone to help them, They're seeing inflation running wild, and jobs were scarce, and so Hitler and his troops came in there, or his people, and they set up a situation to create jobs in the military and armaments. And I don't know how they financed it, but they did. And we're in that situation now where the whole world is like a pre-Nazi Germany,
Mm.
and that's a very vulnerable place to be.
Yeah. And I agree. It just, you study history, it looks like we're repeating it all over again. You look at the streets of America, you see the quote unquote pro-Palestinian protests, which are really anti-Semitic. But more than that, when you really dive into it, it's globalist. It's anti-American protests, and it just seems like that's where it's being set up. You got two things going on. You got the global turning against Israel, and little by little, you've got the global turning against America. And then America, this administration at least, is trying to save face by trying to placate to them, but it's not working in that either. And it just seems like this administration is also, and I think basically Republicans and Democrats for the most part, are war hungry. They just want war. And it's like, you've got this going on, you got all the funding going on in Ukraine and the things that are happening there that are nefarious. And then you've got the Middle East, and now you've got Xi Jinping from China openly stating, we're getting ready. They're circling. They're running drills and in camping all around it, declaring it as a piece of China, annexing the water on the other side as a part of the China Sea, and rumors are that they're going to try to take Taiwan in some way before the election. So it just seems like they're just hungry for war. That maybe, is it money? Is it just the money they need from the war, or is this a part of the globalists setting us up for the beast system?
It's the globalist. Look, it's a master playing the chessboard against us. That's Satan. And all these things are coming to a head now. And students have probably realized that we're about to see the beginning of the tribulation period spoken of in the Bible. There's no escaping this global one world attack by people like Soros and his ilk throughout the world. The Chinese definitely are way ahead of us in the naval facilities, in their on the ground troops. Look, they've got so many people already here in the United States as
Right.
illegal aliens that they're going to be knocking on your door with a gun of some sort shortly. And people just aren't aware of this, that are paying attention to the left-wing media. They're just happily drinking their lattes and not aware of what's really happening.
Right.
So it's going to happen before the election. Now, I don't know exactly all the details of it, but the people in this country that are aware and are patriots are not going to take this lying down. There's going to be a point where sorry about that. There's going to be a point where we have to take arms and get these illegals out of here and try to get sanity back into our political system. And it's not going to be a revolution. It's going to be civil disorder as we try to right the ship. But I don't think we're going to succeed.
Wow. Well, I am an optimist. I am absolutely an optimist. And coming from an optimist, it feels like it may be too late. I mean, is it too late, Stan? Is there hope for America to get back to some kind of stability, to where we're not just chaotic all the time?
I don't think so.
Wow.
The division is too great. I think we're past the tipping point, and it's going to call for conflict. I personally am hoping that the rapture of the Christians spoken of in the Bible happens as that starts or before it starts. But that's just me. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
various
Yeah.
viewpoints on that. But it's going to be a time when you need to prepare for loss of things that you get by the store, food store, medicines from the doctors, whatever. Stock up what you can immediately, because I'm seeing shortages in pharmaceuticals, because I get several things from the pharmacy, and there's long delays. They don't have them. I don't know where they're not coming from, but that's a problem.
Well, most of our modern day drugs are made in China, and it's like,
Yes.
they have the strings on that as well. Not only on technology and all these things where they could disrupt us and the hacking ability and all this, but I think I read one time that is upwards of 90% of all the world's antibiotics are made in China.
Mm.
And you're just talking about all these major medicines are created, distributed in China. So it's like, China seems to be, everybody's talking about Russia, everybody's talking about Ukraine, they're talking about Israel, they're talking about Iran. And, every once in a while you hear somebody talk about China, but China, in my opinion, is the biggest thing to be concerned about in the world right now. And they're just sort of quietly sitting back, just letting the world do their work for them to destabilize the world while it just sets up whatever their plan is. Like you just said, I mean, huge numbers of Chinese nationalists are coming across the southern border. And I heard somebody say the other day that's just, I definitely want to get your opinion on this. They said, let's not forget, you don't leave China. You are sent from China. The Chinese citizens don't just decide to go on a vacation and get on a plane and leave. They have to have permission to leave. So all these people that are coming across the southern border didn't just leave China for a better life. They had to be let go for a purpose.
I know. I saw that too a long time back. And if the interviews that like Fox does with the illegal groups coming across that are Chinese, why are you here? Oh, same answer, a better life, freedom, rubbish.
Right.
It's scripted response.
It is.
Anyway, now
It is scripted response. And wow.
with the pain drugs, I want to make this note here for you.
Yes, sir.
I've been on oxycodone for like 10 or 12 years for my back pains. Well, my friend Bill Crozer used to be our attorney, but he's just a friend now. He sent me a heating pad the other day for my back because I'd just been up close to his home there in Greeley to see a spine doctor about surgery, which they said we're not going to do. But what he did is he sent me a heating pad that has about 119 little discs about that big, made of stone, of jade, and of tourmaline, and they are heated with a heating coil behind them. And the infrared produced by the jade is in the long wavelength, so it penetrates 2 to 2.5 inches into your skin, into your body. And the tourmaline produces negative ions. Now, the reason I'm telling you all this is I'm not using the oxycodone now. It's been several days. I've been using this heating pad, and it stopped hurts all up and down my back and even in my legs. I know it sounds like woo-woo science and that kind of junk, but I have to share that with you because I sit in the chair there for an hour in the evening and in the morning, and I'm good for the day. I mean, this is really a remarkable thing. If you want, I can share a screen to show you what I've got.
Yeah, I'd love that.
And
tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready here. I'm going to share a screen if I can get to it.
All right.
Okay, where are we here? Okay. Now, this is a heating pad. Okay, it's made by UTK. I don't know. It's probably a Chinese company, but anyway, it does work. Now I'm just going to go back one screen here. This is a search term you use to find all the companies that are making this. It's very, very popular. Okay, so for people who are in pain, I suggest this as a remedy. Okay.
So look, that's amazing. I know several people right now around the top of my head that this would be very interesting to them. You moved from pain medication to this, and this has completely eliminated that pain medicine?
Well, yeah. I take a leave if I go out and exercise in the backyard doing the tractor stuff or weed eating. But yeah, I mean, look at me. It's great.
That's amazing.
So I want to share that. Get it now because I think the pain drugs from China, are going to dry up, and a lot of the other medicines are going to dry up. So look for alternative solutions because that's where we're headed.
Well, that is great advice. Great advice, and yeah, get that. And I got some people I'm going to be sending that to right now. So that's amazing. All right, so moving on from the global war issue, I want to talk a little bit about something that is definitely in your lane. You are not only a student of prophecy, you are a student of the cosmos, you're a student of weather and especially earthquakes and things like that. So I want to throw this headline up here and just obviously, like we say so many times on this show, when we see things like this, we think, what does Stan think about this? So is Mount St. Helens about to blow? Washington volcano recharging. 44 years. It's hard to believe it's been 44 years since it erupted. And it says, is it getting ready to rock? Mount St. Helens in Washington, which notoriously cataclysmically erupted in 1980 and had its ash reach Montana, has been showing major signs of constant activity recently, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The volcanic elevation of 363 feet in the air has experienced about 350 earthquakes since the start of February and a peak amount of 38 in the first week of June. So 2 questions here. My first question is your thoughts on the Mount St. Helens period of what you just heard me talk about. And then secondly, one of the things that we've talked about here is the increased solar activity. There are people that believe the polar poles are shifting, and that is the sun is affecting earthquakes. We know Jesus said in the last days earthquakes will be on an uptick. You study earthquakes. What are your thoughts about this? Do you believe we're about to see another Mount St. Helens eruption?
It's quite possible, and in fact, I want to share a screen here to
Okay.
augment what you just said about that here.
Okay.
I'm going to go over there now and click that. Okay. This is a graph showing since 1980,
Okay.
since 2010, since 2010, the number of earthquakes that have occurred in and under around Mount St. Helens. Now, you said that about 350 or so here in the last few months. At the top of this graph here, let me see. You can't see. Can you see my?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
you
can.
can. Okay,
Yeah.
right up here. That's where we are now. That's a sum. That's not the actual per day or anything, but that's the
Okay.
sum. And so there have been quite a number of them, and there've been a steady growth up like this. Now, why is this an issue? Well, I think it is because the West Coast, plate, stop sharing now,
Yeah, got it.
and that Juan de Fuca plate is overdue by 60 years at least for a major 9 to 10 major earthquake. Now, there are signs of it starting to crumble down toward the Mendocino fault line at the bottom of the Juan de Fuca. And this is producing small quakes, reasonably small, most of them under 6. But if that goes, Mount St. Helens and probably some of the other volcanoes are going to all the way down to Baja are going to be weakened as far as their stability, and they'll erupt. I had a dream vision years ago now about this happening. It'll like a zipper. It will unleash all those volcanoes on the West Coast and prevent people from escaping from California into the safe zone. Uh, the roads will become wet with moist ash from all these things. So is Mount St. Helens about to grow? I think they all are about to go all the way down to Mexico City, in fact, to Popocatépetl. So yeah, I mean,
So
we're going to see that.
what is causing it? What makes you think that that's going to happen?
Well, there are normal tectonic pressures that build up as the Pacific plate moves under the West Coast there, Northwest Coast, and it's stuck. It can't slide like it should, and when it breaks free, it's going to go like that with a sudden release of energy. The sun is not helping the situation. The the increase in temperatures and the change in weather patterns are causing electrical currents to change. They're causing weights of water to change in the sea. I see this as a linked result of instabilities in our sun. The sun is very unstable this solar cycle, and we can talk about that in a minute. But these causes are beyond our control, and I'm sure from the dream visions I've had, this day will come, and this day must be close by the scientific evidence we're seeing in earthquakes and strange weather. Even in the North Pacific now, there are 2 areas of like infant hurricanes in the northern part of the Pacific. So yeah, the weather is not helping, and it's coming. It's just coming. People ought to get prepared. We've told them for years. In fact, on my
Yeah.
website, if you go to standeo.com, normally you get our news and that kind of stuff. But I put up a splash page. We're dumping Dare to Prepare books out at $27 a copy. Go get them right now, because you need to get them in time to be able to collect some of the things you need to endure earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes, all this kind of stuff.
So,
Yeah, there you go.
okay. So, Supercell on Dare to Prepare book. You click that. Okay, I see that. So you're right. You get them there. Get them there. We'll link that, of course, down in the website. I mean, in the description that you can go look at after the show. Okay, you talked about the sun is working, but then you said all the things about weather, and that was another thing I wanted to pick your brains about. Is, man, the weather's just going crazy right now. There's some strange weather patterns that are happening. Just this week, a foot of snow in parts of Montana and Idaho Rockies, while the East Coast is sweltering in record heat. And it's just like residents of the Northeast and Midwest prepare for an extreme heat wave. Those who live in the part of the Rocky Mountains and Pacific Northwest are experiencing snow and unusually cold weather in the lead up to Thursday, the first day of summer. Glacier Park in
Yeah.
Montana had a snowy scene on the sunset of June 18th. In Montana State on June 17th, a summer football camp practiced in the snow in Bozeman, Montana. Nearly 1
Amazing.
million residents of the West were under a winter weather advisory or a frost advisory Monday morning, just before we started summer. Snow was on the ground in ski resorts and covered mountains. You can see this. Up to 15 inches of snow is also possible for the higher terrain in the Sapphire and Bitterroot ranges. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I keep going back to the same thing. We for all the months that we've had you on our show, you've talked about the sun. You've talked about it all depends on where we're at, what side of the sun the flares are coming out on, where we're positioned. And it just seems to me like things are setting up. Things are setting up, and in the Bible it tells us there'll be signs in the heavens and the earth beneath, earthquakes in divers places. I just really believe the weather is preaching to us right now. What do you think?
Yeah. And to that point here, on my show images page, there's a slide number 47. I put that up there because back in 1996 through 2005, I was able to predict with about 85% accuracy coastal earthquakes all over the planet by the changes in the electron heat signature that the Navy was producing in the anomaly maps for sea surface temperature. Now, this article tells you that's what they're saying that they're doing now. Then they're using the same technique I was, and they're now saying this is how they can predict earthquakes. So, I'm not totally a nutcase. What I was using is the way to predict these earthquakes. Now, with the data they've got now, they don't have to do it just on the coast. They can move all over the planet and look for earthquake signatures, various things that they added to it. What I was doing with gas changes and that kind of stuff. So anyway, so
Well,
now,
one
yeah,
of the things that my wife would want me to ask you right now if she was here, because she's always talking about this, do you believe, speaking of that, about checking up on things and looking at earthquakes, do you believe that there are forces in play also that are manipulating the weather? Do you believe that there are people have the ability to create some of these earthquakes, trigger some
yes,
of these fault
yes.
lines?
There are a number of ways to do that. And back in 1977, even, Russia and the United States entered into weather warfare contract agreements to prevent using weather warfare against each other. And it could be as simple as, say, the Chinese throwing coal dust over Siberia to melt the snow or to make it so it doesn't reflect the heat away, it absorbs it, and that will change the weather patterns over the United States, and cause crop failures and all kinds of stuff. Um, with the oh gosh, there's so many things about this. The Russians, I suppose the Chinese have it as well. They have a torpedo nuclear thing, which is an earthquake torpedo,
Wow.
and they can put their submarines off in international waters and point it, say, at New England coast, and this submarine releases this earthquake torpedo and it goes into the dirt there, or the mud just underneath the water level, and explodes a nuclear device, which triggers earthquake zones all over the New England states, and also makes tsunamis that are radioactive. So that's a weather warfare. There are many other types with radiation, and with aerosols, all this kind of stuff. But even if they weren't messing around with this, and by the way, one country doing it only would give predictable results, like China. But Russia and China, if they talk together, maybe they will use the weather warfare so it gets the target and doesn't go awry. But the United States has weather warfare devices as well and plans, and so when all these are acting, there's really no way to realize or to predict what's going to happen when all these weather control devices clash because they have different objectives. So
Wow.
that's stupidity to start with.
Right.
But even if they weren't doing this, the sun is the major driver for energy on this planet, for storms, for life, and it's emitting ultraviolet rays in a two frequencies that are not normal. They haven't been historically. And these are causing crop failures. My friends and I, all across the United States, in my Patreon channel, we share information about our gardens, and we're seeing things like our plants' leaves, like lettuce and some of the more sensitive plants, they're going yellow and dying, even
Wow.
with our normal fertilizer and water. And we're seeing bees disappear due to
Yep.
diseases in the hive, and also the ultraviolet that they use to find the pollen is not there. They're going blind in essence for the pollen. And I'm going to share a screen with you about another thing which is way beyond our control.
Okay.
I'm just going to click that now and show you. This is off of a website, excuse me, today, that you can go to, the planets today. And if you look at the Earth is here in this blue thing. Here's the moon.
Right.
Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because, like in 1982, we have all these massive gravitational pull planets on the same side of the sun in this kind of V shape here. We can be affected by our position either on the opposite side of the sun from all of them, where it pulls the surface of the sun and makes it thin, so the magnetic filaments can flare out and make flares, coronal mass ejections toward us. We've already passed through that. By August, we're going to be in here.
Wow.
And we're going to be on the side of the sun where the gravitational pull of these gas giants is going to pull the stretch the surface of the sun to pile it up over on this side, which may have the same effect of causing magnetic filaments to erupt as flares and coronal mass ejections and whatever. So this is affecting our weather, and we have no control over that. And
Wow.
the story that they give you, I'll stop sharing now. The story that they're giving to the population of the Earth is, it's cow gas, it's emissions, it's bad handling by humans, and that gives the people of the Earth hope that there's a way to mitigate the problems we're having with our environment. 6% of all the energy we're getting, what we're talking about, that 6% of human effort versus 84 or 94% coming from the sun.
Wow.
And so they're trying to keep people calm, and they're going to have this global government come up to help us. What a chess game this is! There's so many pieces of this I want to talk about that my mind is
Yeah.
going numb.
Oh, my mind's about to explode, man. It's that way every time I talk to you because you're just so knowledgeable about these things, and it's so interesting when you're talking about weather warfare. And if you believe in weather warfare, and you do, I do. We at the big picture, we believe in that they have the ability to do that. Then there's no reason why anyone that believes in weather warfare would not believe that it's being actively used right now. I mean, you would not, in this day and time, you would not have that ability and not use it. So, we're just naturally skeptical now. Sandy she's very skeptical of it. She'll see like a hurricane and that thing just come out of nowhere and it's going towards somewhere. And her first natural reaction is, what are they trying to do? Maybe this is a natural occurrence, a natural hurricane, but are they trying to steer it towards a certain area? Are they trying to cause this. Then you're talking about these submarines. I was just sitting there thinking, when you're talking about the submarines having the missiles to ignite the earthquakes, create the earthquakes, all of a sudden you see Russian submarines showing up at Cuba. Then you see them showing up off the Pacific and the Atlantic coast. You see them showing up around the United Kingdom. And it's like, okay, what are they doing? Are they getting ready for something? Are they trying to intimidate with a show of force? I mean, this is just a crazy world right now, Stan. If you don't have Jesus, you'll lose your mind.
Oh, absolutely. And let me share another screen with you here about the sun.
Okay.
This is the last 3 days on the sun. And just have a look at what's boiling off of it.
Oh, my goodness. What? That's the last 3 days?
Wow. Yep. And on this side here, the sun is, in this picture, the sun is moving around like this. So what you're seeing is what has just been here is now going around the backside. And, we're going to see, let's see here. Let me, can I get to that one here? Can you see that one? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
This is a magnetic fields on the sun. And, this is where we're looking at it now. And these are all those flares that you saw going out here as magnetic field lines. Now we're just going to turn around here about 7 days. And the sun's going to turn around and watch all these things here. We're going to see tremendous flares.
Wow.
Here's where we are now. Now, here's what just passed us, seeing all those flares. Man. And this purple and this green, these are supposed to be the north and south pole of the sun. And they're so confused, they don't know whether they're here or there. And you see this purple here versus the green. They're not opposite each other. They're crossing.
No. Yeah.
And look at these bowed out magnetic lines, between them. There is chaos in the sun right now.
Wow.
And so we turn here around here. That's 7 days. And this is going to be about 14 days. And look what's coming.
My goodness.
When these lines go across the equator of the sun, it squeezes the surface of the sun toward the equator. It pinches it. And this pinching effect, these white and black areas here are active regions, and it tells the magnetic polarity of those sunspots. And this is a big group here. If that black were to turn around and be on that side of that group, there would be a head-to-head of these two white areas, these two white poles, and it would produce eruptions, severe eruptions on the sun. I'll just stop sharing that now and get back to talking to you. But
what is causing that? Is this just a natural thing? Is the sun winding down? I mean, is that what it is?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. Look, if you want me, I'll explain the Revelation thing that said that in the end, the earth and the heavens will pass away in a fervent heat.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
The universe is not as old as our scientists tell us. I study gravity. I've studied it for years and played with it. And I know that the whole universe is running down. And so it's like a top. When you were a kid, you could wrap string around that gyroscope top and throw it onto the concrete and spin it. And when it's new, it's upright, it's spinning fast. But as it ages, it starts to wobble.
Yes, sir.
And then it collapses onto the cement, and it gets hot from friction as it does, and then there's nothing, no top's working. All of the atoms, the subatomic particles, the planets, the stars, the galaxies, the galactic clusters, all of them have spin. You have gravity of a little tiny thing at a high frequency. These are waves. And then you have gravity at years and years long for galaxies. Since we are aging quicker than the scientists think, because they use the speed of light as a yardstick, the speed of light, as I've said many times, at the Big Bang was 10 with 60 zeros behind it faster than now. So distances, were a lot closer, reality-wise. And so as the speed of light slowed down, and then we started to measure, various argon gases and things to see how old the solar system was, the universe, whatever, we have a distorted view of 15 billion years for the universe, but it's not happening. As the spin of things which creates gravity, as that spin wears out, like soap bubbles, they pop, and as suns, stars, and planets, they're going to discharge all this in about 1,000 years, a little over 1,000 years from now, as far as I can estimate.
Wow.
When that happens, there will be a release of infrared radiation, heat, and several bandwidths of heat across the entire universe as everything pops and blows up. We're already seeing pictures of it in the Monoceros cluster, which I've used on your show before to show you how one star blew off its outer surface out through its planets. Took about 9 months for it to go through its planets, but it was a sign of what's going to happen to a number of all of them eventually. And our sun is undergoing a phase state change where it's going to blow off a chunk of the, like a shell of the sun out into the solar system. Now, the Bible talks about a dust cloud forming around the sun and the light of the moon being dimmed and the light of the stars being dimmed. This dust cloud is the junk coming off of the sun coming out through the system. At the same time, it says in Revelation that we're going to see the heat, the light of the sun be 7 times brighter in an impulse while the earth is facing the sun at that time. It'll be a quick thing, but it's part of this whole aging process. That's why I put up the lessons on my show images page. There are like 9 or 10 lessons on the show images page that start at the beginning, and they're all numbered with A2, A3, that kind of stuff, to try to explain to people visually what the nature of gravity is, the waveforms in the fluid of space. And when God spoke this into existence, the whole universe, his complex waveforms from his however his voice is, went out with such force that it created these swirling concentrations of energy that spun things into galaxies, stars, planets, and whatever. It was his word that did that. And as everything calms down, it'll calm down to a very stable, empty void. And then it says that a new heaven and a new earth will replace it. And I assume that's by God saying, here's the plan, let's go forth. And there will be a new creation.
And how interesting is that he says there'll be no need for the sun, for the Son of God himself will light heaven and the eternal earth, where we're living here on earth in a refined earth. So it's interesting that, I mean, are you saying that that's what we're talking about? Is that it's going to implode during the tribulation period, and then when the millennial reign starts, or after the millennial reign, wherever you feel that fits in, the glory of God will then say, we don't even need a sun anymore? Will eternity have a sun as we live and reign here on this earth?
No, I don't know whether, well, there'll be a new earth and a new heaven after the millennial reign, 1,000 and maybe 7 or 10 years from now, if you believe the Bible, which I do. Now, there is a different existence where Jesus lives, where our Creator God lives, like a parallel universe, which will be apart from what we see here and what will be created again at the end of the millennial reign. So when you're with Jesus, his light will light up where you are. It's a different place, and that's it means that what we're in here in this universe is like a garden where God is growing souls that will, of their own free will, love him and serve him, and he'll harvest them, and we'll go there to be with him. And in his universe, I don't know what the rules are, except what we can read in the Bible, and some of the people have been there in their out-of-body experiences. So it'll be different than this. It's good news.
Yeah, it is good news. Wow. Oh my goodness! Wow, I got to go back every month. I have to go back and watch this again. I'm sitting here interviewing you, but I have to go back and watch the show because I can't process everything that's being said. All right,
Can I?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Um, can I just show you what the winds look like on the Earth at the moment? This is
Absolutely.
real-time data here. I'm going to share that. Oh, actually, you're saying it now, aren't you?
No, no, sir. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I can now. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, this is earth.nullschool.net. You can go there and look at this, and there's
Wow.
this control panel for it. But this is the winds at ground level. Okay, this is the North Pacific. Notice two hurricane-like formations are
Yeah.
forming. Okay, now over here in the Atlantic, we have an area where it's odd because it's not high-speed winds. It's the opposite of a hurricane. It's
Huh.
you know how the winds are going around this area. I have no idea. That's a Bermuda Triangle. What is
What?
causing this? Yeah, and this is today, real time.
That's crazy.
Now it is, and now let's look down here at the South Pole. Okay, now I'm going to raise the data level instead of being at surface winds. I'm going to go at just a little bit higher at 1,000 hectopascals, which is altitude. Now, when you do that, this is what you see at the South Pole. And here, these two areas where these are hurricanes, you're starting to see an intense pattern. Let's go higher up. Let's go out to the edge of our atmosphere at space at 10 hectopascals. Here we go. And show you what is happening. At the South Pole, this is what we're seeing.
What is that? Oh my Lord. Gee.
This changes direction with the seasons as we have a different face of the Earth facing the sun, in majority. Now, we're going to pull this back up to the Northern Hemisphere and the North Pacific. At a high level, you don't see evidence of those hurricanes or of that thing in the Bermuda Triangle. So now then, we're going to go back up about halfway. And you can see at the upper altitudes, these are the things forming these hurricane-type formations. And look at that. There's one sitting right over Siberia. I think that's Siberia, is it? No, Alaska? No, Siberia. Right in between them. And here are the ones that are forming these areas that we'll see at surface level here in a minute. Look at how there's 4 or 5 of these things just up above us in the upper atmosphere that are causing this. And the last look here, we'll go back down to the surface winds. And that's what we're seeing at a surface level there. But there are going to be more forming up over Siberia in the next few days. Hey, look, this is amazing stuff.
It is.
I've been following these changes in the wind patterns at the poles, for years. And it does follow this seasonal variation, but this year has been rather interesting. I'll stop sharing that now.
Is that what you're hearing people talk about, that we are actively experiencing a pole shift? Are we experiencing that?
Well, there's another cause to that. The North Pole itself has been moving towards Siberia at an average of about 30 miles a year. And it's actually, let me see if I can see that on this map here. It's actually going back to where the North Pole was before we had the meteor impact that shifted us 23.5 degrees. There's a little dip, like a hole, in the topography there. Let's see. Pause that a second.
Okay.
And I'm going to.
So show me that.
Okay, this is stuff I found when I was looking for the Garden of Eden and for Atlantis and all that kind of stuff. And I went to the Google Earth Pro program. And so we're going to have a look at that here if I can just get it up. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now, this is United States, Greenland. Now we're going to zoom down into that and look at where the North Pole has been and where it's going. You see this tear in the in the ocean bed?
Yes.
This is where, let me just put this straight up and down. Iceland is here. The North Pole has traveled all along this tear here in the surface, and it's here heading for Siberia. Let's look a little closer. We see a hole here. Okay, now these reports of a hollow Earth, I don't dismiss the ones, because I do think that we have a void shell underneath the surface of the earth that we see here as a function of gravity. And so that magnetic pole is traveling back to where it was originally, I think, before we got kicked into this
Mm.
position we're in now. Oh, boy.
Wow.
Anyway, I'll stop that.
Wow. Well, okay. Pole shifting, earthquakes, wars in diverse places. It's time to get right with God. I mean, that's just the bottom line. If you're not right with God, you need to get right with
definitely.
God. And you got all this AI stuff going on that we don't even have time to talk about because we're running out of time on this show. It goes by so fast. Stan, what you do for the kingdom of God and what you're doing for the big picture, I cannot overestimate, I cannot overemphasize how important it is for us to know this kind of information and how important it is for us to know what is going on at your website. Now, I want to put this up again real quick because just you tell the audience right now, why do you have, when you go to standale.com, we've got this Dare to Prepare book, super sale, and when they click on that, you go directly to all of this. What are you running right now, and why did you feel the urgency to do that?
Okay, we have some stocks of it left. We're not going to be able to reprint. The situation in industry is so dire that transport and all kinds of things are going to make not only this book, but other products that you need to prepare for hurricanes, tornadoes, war, nuclear war. We have nuclear war covered in this book that Holly wrote. And so to help, these books are no good to me sitting here in the warehouse. We're dumping them out. You people need to get them and see what you need to get for your home or business from various suppliers out there, and get them as soon as you can before transportation fails. I mean, things are starting to fail. We talked about drug deliveries, drug availabilities, but all kinds of products in the survival area are going to be in short supply because transport is going to fail. So get this
Absolutely.
book, see what you need. You'll see the book cover there. I designed that cover to show that you're playing at a poker game here. You're gambling with your life, your family's life.
Wow.
All these cards show threats, and time is running out. And that timepiece here, that sand clock, it's almost all empty. We're out of time.
Yeah, on the big clock, we're at 11:59 and probably 58 or 59 seconds, and we're that close, and that's why all you got to do is go right down to the direct link in the description, standale.com, take you right there. You won't even have to type it in. Just click the description here, and it'll take you there. And, of course, then you can go on from there to his main website, all that is there, the information, the show images page that is so stock full, as you said, the classes that you have on there that you are revealing step by step, your research on gravity and the different kind of things that are going on. We live in a world that you're going to need this information, and we're not fear mongering here. We're just trying to be sensible. Is that when things come, they are coming. You need to be prepared. You need to know what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. You need to do some things for your family to prepare when it comes to food, when it comes to protection, when it comes to basically understanding. When you look up to the heavens, what am I seeing? What is actually happening? Is this just some cosmic thing that's just was already going to happen? Is this tied to Bible prophecy? And the bottom line is this: we're always going to tell you here on the big picture. That's why we call it the Kingdom Intelligence Report. This is not just the intelligence report. This is intelligence that you need to know, filtered through the kingdom of God. Stan, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining us once again. We look forward to this every month, and appreciate you and Holly and all that you're doing for the kingdom of God. And just know that we pray for you often, and we think of you often, and we thank God for you contributing to the big picture.
Thank you. Lord bless you and Sandy now.
All right. God bless you. I'll be back in.
Would you like to help us build the big picture family? We're on a mission to wake up the world to what is really going on. All you have to do is go to our website at LarryRagland.com and make a one-time gift, or you can become a monthly partner. Any amount is a blessing and an encouragement to us. While you're there, make sure you get a copy of our book, I See Greatness in You. Browse our merchandise store, connect with us on our social media links, and join our mailing list. We appreciate it. And remember, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake.
Yes, we are. We are certainly awake, and that's why we have this show, and that's why we have Stan Deyo on. We appreciate him so much being a part of the program. Go to his website. If you have not smashed the like button, smash it, smash it, smash it right now. Share this broadcast. Invite people to get this information and subscribe to our channel. That's the best way you can help us. If you'd like to become a partner, we appreciate everybody that is helping us in that. We thank God for you, and we want to remind you that we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake. See you next time on The Big Picture. Bye.